Okay, in this tutorial, we're going to be working on how to set up Photoshop for part 3 of our final exam. Now, with Photoshop, the first thing you're going to want to do is open up Photoshop, and it should take you to a screen that looks just like this. Then what you're going to want to do is open up the answer key that will be provided to you for the final exam. Your final exam will be a black and white picture very similar to this. What you're going to need to do is take and follow the directions, bring this black and white image into Photoshop and color it using the answer key provided online. So how do we bring in this picture and color it? First thing we're going to need to do is you're going to want to copy it. So whatever picture it is, you're going to want to make sure that it's been at least downloaded to your desktop or opened on your computer so that we can copy it. It must be copied and then pasted into Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this character Swiper. Now that it's been copied, I'll return to Photoshop, and then we need to open a new document. So I'm going to go File and New, and then that takes us to this screen right here. Notice that this screen has the size of the picture all set up for us, but there's a problem. Notice the color mode is set to grayscale. This is wrong. If we want to color this picture, we need to make sure that it is set to color. So we need to make sure that it is set to color, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Once that's done, here is our paper size that our character will fit. So if I go Edit and Paste in Photoshop, the Swiper character should appear on the screen, and this is good. It has now been done correctly. Next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to come down here to this area called Layers. Notice that we only have one layer. This is the Swiper layer. So what I'd like you to do is to label all your layers. This is now our Swiper layer because this character's name is Swiper. What we need to do is come down here to our Make Layers, and we want to create our layers for each color of Swiper. Now in our answer key, we don't have the colors here provided to us. However, on the final exam, you will receive the color key for the final. I know that Swiper's colors are orange, yellow, a violet dark blue color, and pink and black. Orange is going to be for his tail and his body, arms and legs. Yellow is going to be the tip of his tail, his belly, his paws, and then this part of his nose. His eyebrows are also yellow, and then the insides of his ears are pink. His nose is black, and his gloves and his mask are dark blue. So we need to make sure that we have enough layers for every color that we need. So I'm going to come down here to my Layers button, and I'm going to select some layers. The first layer, we're going to label it orange because this character has orange. We're also going to double click this layer and type in yellow. This one right here is going to be the blue layer. And then I want to add a pink layer for his ears. And then we're going to need a layer for the color black. Unlike the Batman final project, there will be no shading for part 3 of the final exam. Alright, so let's get started coloring this character. What we're going to need to do is we need to return to the Swiper layer because the Swiper layer is the only layer that has information. If we click on any of these other layers, like the blue layer for example, there's nothing in the blue layer. If I toggle this little eye, nothing happens because there's nothing in that layer to be selected. So we need to return to the Swiper layer. And then what I'd like to do is come over here and you can choose the magic wand. And what we'd like to do is start with the orange layer. Now I'm going to select this part of Swiper's tail, if you look carefully, there'll be a selector marquee that runs around this selection. You can see that it's actually moving. If you'd like to select more than one, hold down the Shift key. And then you're able to select multiple pieces. When you're ready, you can go ahead and go to the layer that you'd like to put the color in, because we do not want to put any color on our background layer. Our character's layer needs to remain empty of color. So now that we're on the orange layer, I'll go to my color chooser, and I'm going to pick the most appropriate orange for this character. I think that orange will be appropriate. And then I'm going to go and select my paintbrush. I can choose any size of my paintbrush and any style of my paintbrush that I want. And then I can go ahead and start coloring in this character. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you color in the entire layer that has been selected. Okay, now we've added just about all the orange except for one little area right here. If we click on our magnifying glass and we zoom in a little bit close, notice how this part of the swiper character we didn't color. It may be difficult for us to use the marquee tool, the magic wand here, to be able to click inside there. If so, you might need to return to your paintbrush and then choose a very small brush size and actually go in there and hand color it. On the final exam, there will be in several locations you are going to need to do this method to color the entire object. Alright, when you're done, you can go ahead and zoom out. And you can also check your work. If I turn off the swiper layer, notice that only the color stays behind. If I remove the orange, notice that the orange and the background layer are separate from one another. This must be done or you will not score well on the final exam, part 3. So now we're going to return to the background swiper layer, and then we'll go ahead and select the other items using the Shift key so that we have them totally selected. And then we'll go ahead and color them. So we go to my color picker, find the color yellow, find the most appropriate yellow color, and then I can go ahead and start coloring it in. And I will do this for every section. Now, if you've noticed, I made a mistake. Did you see what my mistake was? I colored on the background layer. Please make sure that you only put color on the appropriate layer that you have labeled. Never put any color on the background layer. Alright, so now that is complete. And again, I can turn off my background layer and notice that the color stays behind. This is good. I'm going to return to my background layer, and then I'm going to choose the other components. In this case, the gloves and the mask. And then I will go through and color them. And now I've added all the blue for the blue layer. And again, we're using the same technique, the same process all the way around. You should be able to disable the background layer, and you should be able to see your work, and you've included only the color on the appropriate layer. Now, if you notice something in the orange layer, if we use our magnifying glass and we zoom in a little bit close, if you investigate, notice that part of the character's ear was not colored. In this case, You can return to the background layer at any time. You can go back to the magic wand and select that area, and you can return to that orange layer, and you can use the eyedropper tool, and you can select that orange color. And when you've selected that orange color, you can now repeat the same color that you already used and color that portion in that wasn't done. Let's color in the ears pink. So I would go back to my background layer for Swiper, choose the magic wand, hold down the shift key to select more than one item, and then I'm going to jump to the pink layer, and then I'll go to my color picker and choose the color pink. I would then go to my paintbrush, and then I would color in those features. When I deselect and zoom out, I should again be able to check my work, and the colors should be in their appropriate layers. Let's finish this. The tip of his nose needs to be colored black. So I would use my magic wand on the background layer. I would select it. I would go to that appropriate layer, choose the color, and color it. Now I've colored the final layer. We can always check our work to make sure that all the colors are in the appropriate layers and our background layer is completely clean. Now, for Part 3's grading, you will be graded at your seat at your computer. So what you're going to want to do is when you're done with your drawing, you're going to wait for the instructor to come by. There will be a grade rubric on a clipboard, and your teacher will look at your work right on your computer screen and grade you in the following areas of having your layers labeled, colors in the appropriate layers, colors chosen that are appropriate in accordance with the answer key, and then there's no white spaces that were left out. If you would have achieved all those things, you should be able to get a perfect score on Part 3 of the final exam. Good luck.